Miss Jill Lublin about the title Get Known Everywhere based on publicity. So publicity has only one purpose: to get certain information across to as many people as possible within the shortest time frame. For you to record any sale of your products or services, your prospects have to aware of those products and services, and they also have to know that attached benefits. She is the CEO of strategic consulting firm and has over 20 years experience working with over 10,000 people plus national and international media. She is the author of 4 best-selling books including Get Noticed Get Referrals, Guerrilla Publicity, Networking Magic, and her latest one is The Profit of Kindness and the Networking Magic. She is the founder of GoodNews Media Incorporated and host of the nationally syndicated radio show Do the Dream and TV pilot GoodNews TV. She speaks internationally and teaches powerful and practical publicity techniques that anyone can use. The topic of radical influence, publicity, networking, kindness, and referrals. Jill is a master strategist and on how to position your business for more profitability and more visibility in the marketplace. She teaches Publicity Crash Courses as both live events and live webinars, as well as consults and speaks as all over the world. She has also recently been featured in the New York Times Women's Day and Entrepreneur magazine, as well as on ABC, NBC, CBS radio and TV national affiliates. So with no further delays, we call upon Ms. Jill Lublin to tell us more interesting facts on Get Known Everywhere based on publicity.
I want to share with you about P.T. Barnum. You know, he said it best, and that is, a terrible thing happens without publicity. Nothing. So today, go ahead to the next slide after that. I want to tell you about how publicity works to get you more return on investment. So the first thing is, go ahead, is increased prospects. Publicity gets you increased prospects. It gets you more sales. Go ahead and press the slide. Perfect. It gets you increased trust. It gets you more credibility in the marketplace. It gets you more visibility in the marketplace. It gets you more clients. It makes you more money and gets you more exposure in the marketplace. More exposure in the marketplace. And these are all on the slide, which of course we can share with you later. But really what I want to get to next is that publicity is all about your message. So go ahead to that slide, please, Radha. That publicity is all about your message. And when you're talking about your message, what you're looking at is the opportunity to solve problems in the marketplace. So bear with us as we get the slides, next slide together, please. This is what I was telling you about before, is what publicity equals for you. And I'd love to be able to, present you any of these slides that will support you, because what publicity really does is get your name in the marketplace. So what we're looking at next in the next slide is that really publicity is all about your message. It's all about your message. And that is, as experts, and of course you are all experts. You are all experts. You solve problems in the marketplace. And as experts solving problems in the marketplace, you provide solutions. Now, in 24 years of working with all kinds of businesses, the truth is, what I've seen is that people really are experts, and the media loves experts, and they want to interview you. So remember that you're solving problems in the marketplace, and I want you, as you're listening to this right now, to think about filling in the blank to this. The problem today is, fill that blank in. Think about out in the world, whatever place you live in, there's news happening, right? And you want to be a problem solver. You want to be somebody who's creating solutions. So, for instance, one of my clients who has been in my live Zoom publicity class, he helps foster kids find their parents, works mostly in Mexico and Latin America. And of course, with all the issues right now in the border and immigration, he has been on ABC News multiple times, TV, doing major fabulous interviews because he's an expert in reuniting foster kids. So we've taken it over to that next issue. How and what problems in the marketplace can you be solving? That's what I want you to be thinking about. And then I'd like you to think about 3 primary solutions that you would give people in the marketplace. And then as you're being interviewed or as you're the expert, please, if you would, share those solutions with others. Wonderful. Let's go on to the next slide because I want to share something else with you about being a great expert in the marketplace. And one excellent way to get publicity besides being a solution provider, right? It's on the next slide where you're going to create your ooh, ah factor. You want to create your ooh, ah factor. And I think that's really important because as we look to see what it is about others that, well, they want to care about, it's not necessarily what you are interested in caring about. So what I'm meaning by that is in your ooh, ah factor, it's about your story. It's about the things that others care about you. So in an ooh, ah factor could be personal. It could be interesting story. And as we're going through these next case studies, you will see some ooh, ah factors that'll help you understand publicity a lot better. What I know in working with all kinds of sizes of companies, as well as entrepreneurs, small businesses and big businesses, is that the story in your publicity really comes down to creating a great message and combining it with an ooh, ah factor. So let's go on to the next slide and I will show you what I mean by that. My client Ryan is an instructional designer. And, it's interesting because when he first heard me speak, he actually connected to me and said, Jill, I really need to work with you. My company needs more publicity. Because, see, Ryan, and that's on the next slide, had been downsized from his corporate job. Well, he had been fired. At that time, Ryan had a pregnant wife with their first child. And I'm showing you the next slide. So here, Ryan, like I said, had been downsized from his corporate job. He had a pregnant wife with their third child on the way. And then on top of that, he had just bought a new house in Northern California, which is where he lived. Ryan, let me just say, was not real happy with, being downsized from a corporate job and having a pregnant wife and third child on the way, and now he had a big house that he was now responsible for. And I'm like, Ryan, well, what'd you do? He said, well, I started my own company, and online within 24 hours, he had 6 employees across the U.S. Well, at that time, he had just been fired, and I thought, well, now, here's what's an interesting story. What an interesting story is that I made Ryan into a virtual office warrior, and Ryan took a vow never to work in an office again. And that, my friends, is what actually got Ryan wonderful publicity and and great attention. As you can see from the slide, he got in the San Francisco Business Times. Imagine what that would do for your business. He got into Entrepreneur Magazine. He got into Computing Magazine, iPod Magazine, and Mac Home Journal. And Ryan laughed because he goes, Jill, I don't even have a Mac. In fact, I just love this because Ryan's PR results got him featured in major national magazines. Major national magazines. And what I love about that is that, as you can see from the Ryan's PR results slides, he not only was featured in major national magazines, his business revenues increased over 40% using publicity marketing strategies, right? And I'm so excited about that. His placement in the Chinese Times resulted in over $7,000 in consulting income from just one article. And Ryan launched his business from zero and laid off to a thriving consulting business using the power of publicity. You have to use everything you've got. Everything you've got. And so what I mean by that is that what's important, like if you listen to me about Ryan, as when you know the part about the Chinese Times, what was so interesting about that is that he got into the Chinese Times, well, because he is Asian American, and although Ryan doesn't speak a word of Chinese, we were able to get him in the Chinese Times by translating his message and putting his article into the Chinese Times. I want you to think about what you can be using that's everything you've got. What's everything you've got? And so recently, a gentleman was in my Zoom live webinar, and I'll tell you how to be with me in my Publicity Crash Course toward the end of the presentation. He's Pakistani, and as we were going through my live Zoom webinar, we went deep into this. And he said, oh my gosh, Jill, I'm Pakistani. And he did a Google search for his options, and in his marketplace, there were 5 Pakistani newsletters. And then he was able to reach into those. He got into 3 of them, and my friends, do you think he scored much more publicity, reached thousands of more people because of that exact reason? I want you to think about right now, what's something you could be using that's everything you've got, that's interesting and unusual, and something that will serve others. Think about that, and then when we get to Q&A, I'd love for some of you to share that with me. You know, this is one of my clients, Sylvia. She is a consultant and coach. She's actually a goal-setting coach, and she wanted to grow her practice. In focusing on everything you've got, Sylvia, besides being African American, also uses the months to plan. And so we developed a theme, and her theme was about using the months to plan, but also using everything she's got, and being African American got her into Black Enterprise magazine. And in December and January, she was featured in multiple radio, newspaper, blogs, podcasts about planning for the months of the year. How powerful is that? What can you be using? I want you to use your ethnicity, your religion. I want you to use your education. For instance, a doctor client of mine was using items about health, and of course talking about that because he was a doctor, and how powerful that was. I want to show you using everything you've got. This is my newest book called The Profit of Kindness. It's about using kindness in the marketplace and making a difference in that. Well, when the book first came out, of course I was so excited and thrilled and delighted to have a new book, but truthfully, it wasn't really about having a new book that actually got me publicity. My press release that got sent out was sent out called The Divided States of America. And my friends, from sending out that press release using, well, we could say the divided states of America literally, and it keeps happening, got me 7 major market TV interviews, Fox News, CBS News, morning shows, 45 radio interviews and counting, article placements in Inc. magazine, which I've been in twice, Selling Power magazine, CEO magazine, Forbes Small Business, which I've been now in twice. And then at the bottom of your screen, you can see many of the other connected, wonderful places I've been, all because of one press release that was done using everything I've got, using the products and what was happening in the marketplace, the conflict of America. And that is what I was talking about. So I want you, again, reflecting here, what could you be using everything you've got? And go to profitofkindness.com and go check out what that site looks like. One of the things I've been doing is helping people get book deals, and then going to London and Frankfurt book fairs and helping self-published authors get foreign rights deals. And what's so interesting about this is then when that's one of the things I do, and when I'm there in London and in Frankfurt, one of the things the publishers want to know is what's your platform like. And when you can direct someone to a website like profitofkindness.com as an example and show them all the media you've been getting, that's a beautiful thing. And regardless, because I work with many companies and many entrepreneurs and all kinds of businesses that have no book, what you want to do is direct people toward your story, toward your message. And I think that's really, really the key. Now, I want to show you and demonstrate something about one of my other clients, Kermit. And this is a case study. And Kermit, when he came to me, I'll tell you, it was, well, he had a story he wanted to promote about a product he had invented. And his product is a word board game. And the truth be told, Kermit, well, he had no publicity. He just had a great idea. I said, Kermit, tell me your story. Because I always want to hear the story of what people are working on and who they are in their business. And Kermit's story was that he had grown up very poor in a really bad neighborhood. And in fact, most of his friends had really died from drugs and alcohol overdose. But Kermit had a bigger vision for himself. And what you're seeing right now is the actual word board game he invented. Because Kermit self-educated himself. His family was so poor they actually couldn't send him to school. So he self-educated himself and then created this great word board game called Articulation, which is all about using words. And we use publicity to drive interest to his word board game, to his name, etc. In fact, isn't that just a great name? I was saying to you about use everything you've got. Well, that name, his name, got him featured in a major column placement. And I want to show you this Associated Press article that, well, we created using publicity, actually sold over 500 word board games. And, well, that's no small feat, with a gentleman who, when he came to me, really had no publicity, didn't understand how to put his platform together, and ended up getting so many wonderful, wonderful results. Remember, I told you his name, Kermit Heartsong, his unique name, resulted in a major column placement. And one article in the San Francisco newspaper created sales of over 500 board games. In fact, a major game manufacturer brought Kermit's game as a direct result of his increased publicity. That, my friends, is the power of publicity. I want to show you, well, this is my story, one of my stories. I actually, when I was speaking internationally, fell and fractured both ankles at once in multiple places. And it wasn't real fun, and I will tell you, I ended up in a wheelchair for 5 months, count them. So with that, I thought, what is the lesson here? Because I believe that everything in life gives us lessons, and it's important to share those lessons. So as I wondered about my own lessons, what I realized is that I love the power of media because it's so powerful to create hope and messages of hope, right? And so with that, I'm so excited and delighted to create a TV show. And I actually created a TV show on my local public access channel. And the TV show, was called Messages of Hope. And in fact, if you go to my YouTube channel, type in Jill Lublin and type in Messages of Hope, you can actually see multiple ways that TV show was airing. I've interviewed some incredible people, some great companies, some fabulous stories, and I've been very blessed to talk to some great people on the TV show. And as a host, I also then knew the power of publicity, and I went to my local, where I live, my local daily paper, and I said, the problem today is, does this sound familiar, my friends? I told you about that when we first were starting, about the power of publicity, and a fabulous way you can get great publicity is to create the problem today and really put it out there. So my local media, you're looking at this slide right now with the article that they put into the media, and they put this exact article in the Marin Independent Journal, featuring my books, featuring me teaching a publicity course live, and with 4 pictures. Now, here's the power of what publicity does, and in my case, I can tell you that my web visits went up by 38%. My publicity course had, let's see, at that time, the entrance was $9.97. And I had 10 people register right away, right when the article came in. That was amazing. That was a $10,000 ROI. On top of that, I call them Atta Girls. Hopefully you can see me patting my shoulder, because when you get publicity, you will receive notes or congratulations. On your social media, people will post things, as well as you'll receive everything. I got a beautiful note in the mail. All kinds of things. Those are called Atta Girls, Atta Boys. That's important because then you get recognized in the media. You get recognized as a local expert. And remember, in the beginning, I was sharing with you the power and the ROI of publicity is increased credibility, increased visibility, increased exposure in the marketplace, increased trust in the marketplace, and familiarity. And so when you see an article about someone, that immediately happens, and your exposure, your credibility goes up, 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 and that's what I want for you. Now, on top of that, I want to show you, additionally, an Entrepreneur magazine, which is something very good for you to get into. What they want is a professional presentation that's easy to read. They want artwork, if possible and if appropriate. They want you to be relevant and memorable, and they want you to be earnest. So that's really important. And I want to show you 2 other things that are really key, and that is, this came from interviewing them for my first book, Guerrilla Publicity. And what was so interesting for Entrepreneur magazine is that the production for a June issue is March. Meaning they're finished a couple months in advance, right? And the other big thing I want you to see is that the writer's deadline for a June issue is January 15th. That means that you're asking them now for something that's key for you now. And I think that's really important to understand that publicity works. I want you to think of publicity in 3, 6, and 9-month increments. Thinking ahead, thinking ahead. So one of the things that happened when Guerrilla Publicity came out as a second edition, the largest Catholic radio show said, Jill, can you talk about Super Bowl advertising? And I didn't know what to say because, frankly, I'm not an expert in the Super Bowl. I'm an expert in publicity. And they said, can you talk about Super Bowl advertising? Well, one thing I've learned is when the media says, can you talk about this, your answer is yes. And so I said yes, and I reached 40,000 other new people. You can see on the map all the rest of the folks that I was able to reach, and I'm just so thrilled about that opportunity to be able to reach those kinds of people. Now, my friends, I want to be able to take some questions, but before I do that, I want to remind you about a few things, and I want to invite you with ways to work with me. But most importantly, I want to very much remind you that when the media says, can you talk about this, you are going to just say yes. This is one of the people I worked with. She actually is Canadian. And, it's really interesting because I told her to just say yes. And she's a medical doctor who's also a flamenco dancer. And what's fascinating is that you can see that by listening to Jill's suggestion at her crash course in publicity, she booked 3 talk shows, an ongoing radio segment that she's the host of, and she appeared in 2 newspapers. So what I'd love to do is have you have the kind of results that are simple to get when you know the right system and the right order in which to do things. So I want to offer you my crash course in publicity. It's a live 3-part webinar where you will receive personalized attention. I will actually review your documents, and that's a $500 value. In the webinar, which will be live Zoom, live with me, split up into 3 sessions, so it doesn't matter where you live and you don't have to travel anywhere. You'll get 4 documents with proven templates, so you can get the media to say yes. You'll have 4 templates that you can use for the life of your business, no matter if you're working on different projects and new projects. And you'll craft your message so that the press and public will embrace it. You'll write an effective press release and 3 documents that you will actually have finished before the end of the publicity course is done. You will have written a bio, a media announcement, and your message. You will get media savvy and strategically plan your publicity campaign, and you will learn how to follow up using my surefire techniques. I will have you do publicity in the right way, in the right order, and I think that's really important. And after I tell you what the investment is, I'd love to open it up and answer some of your questions. So here's the offer that I'd love to offer for you. Usually, if you go on the internet, you'll see at publicitycrashcourse.com, and please go take a look because you will see lots of testimonials from others. That's publicitycrashcourse.com. You will see that it goes for $12.97, and because you're here today, I'd love to offer it to you for $6.97, and then additionally, what would be great is for the first 15 who register, you can attend a live 1-day course with me. I do them mostly in North America at no additional charge. So that's my extra bonus special for you. And to also know that Let me just go on here so that you can see this for you. The first 15, we already said that, will attend at no extra charge. And so what you do is you go to publicitycrashcourse.com/registration and you enter the promo code publicity so that you can get your great discount. Enter the promo code publicity at checkout. I look so forward to supporting you with real world ways. Roll up our sleeves. We're going to actually get your publicity done together. What I'd like to do now is open it up and take any questions from all of you for ways that I can support you with your publicity.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jill, for giving us such a valuable information on Get Known Everyone based on the publicity. That's very much information session for us. Hope everyone gathered new ideas and information on it, participants. So right now it's a question and answer session for the participants who are need to ask any other queries. You can ask for the questions. Put up questions on chat box, or anyone else are interested to come on live in the conference to ask the questions. You can raise up your hand button and then you can ask for the questions, so that Ms. Jill is available right now to answer the questions. So now you can post your questions on the chat box. Participants. Yeah, Ms. Jill, we are also very much inspired with your presentation, Get Known Everywhere, and then your presentation is also very much interactive for us to know about what should be, how to get publicity, So that is very information. So here comes the question for you, Mr. Gulnas. What does mean for bragging? Is it possessive personality professionally?
So here's the thing. Publicity is not bragging. It's basically the media telling your story, and then you need to do, it's called leveraging, tell people that others are telling your story. So remember I told you about one of my clients who's been in this publicity course, who understands now how to get publicity on ABC TV. Now then what he did was leveraged it and got another interview because of that. So I don't love the word bragging. I think leveraging is a much better word, and it is true that you must be sharing your publicity results with others in order to get more publicity. That is how it works. The media expects you to do that. And everything I've shared with all of you goes for everything from radio, television, as well as magazines and periodicals, as well as podcasts and blogs, as well as on your social media. So change your social media message to the problem today solution and watch your likes grow. Very interesting.
So here comes up the second question also. What's your best social media marketing tips for all the social media marketer?
Let me just share with you that a gentleman in my recently publicity course, he's from Australia, and he's been going along doing quite well, but he did change his, remember in the beginning I was sharing with you about create the problem today is, and then give 3 solutions. He changed that on his social media. He got 250 likes that day, that post. So I'm going to encourage you to use the problem solution formula in your social media and change that. Once you start getting social media, I want you to put banners around your headlines. So if you go look on my LinkedIn and different posts in social media, you will see that I have, Forbes Small Business and different banners, media banners around me. Once you start getting that, that's when you start putting that over your social media. And also about social media is follow reporters. Follow reporters who are covering your subject matters. And you can do that on Twitter and on Facebook in particular, are really, really good. And then another form of publicity is get your clients to share testimonials about you. You can do that with LinkedIn, I really like, and I think that really works. What I love about the message that I share with you today is it enables you to very quickly give real answers to people and real advice to people, and that's a good thing because you're giving them value and benefit.
Okay, so okay, Jill, I think so. Like let them post the questions, and then you share your comment, like official mail ID. So if they have any other questions regarding the Get Known Everywhere based on publicity, so that it can be cleared in daytime for the participants who are present here in the conference. That will be the possible idea we could do it. So okay, Jill, that is a very good session for us to about your presentation. You have given us very valuable information. Thank you, Ms. Jill, for joining us a session in the conference on the second day of the conference on the first session. That is very much informative and then very much inspirational also for us. Have a nice day, Jill. Thank you for the session. Bye bye. Bye.